See if getting this spider is worth activating your credit card. Find out what's going on as I hereby invite everyone to join me on my adventures through Marvel Snap. Hey everybody, it's Annabelle. So we got a brand new season, and that means we've got a season pass card. Since the season pass card doesn't have its own spotlight, I still would like to do a video on who and what they are. And this season, we've got the Symbiote Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man is what happened when Spider-Man activated a symbiote that covered his body and formed a new costume that was completely black with a big white spider symbol on the chest. It gave him more power and less fear. But after assaulting a bouncer and accidentally hitting Mary Jane, he realized that the suit was corrupting him. He discovered that the sound of clanging metal weakened the creature, and this allowed him to remove the symbiote. Symbiote Spider-Man is a symbiote. These are a species of extraterrestrial parasitic life forms that require a living host to function. They form bonds with their host through which a single entity is created. They can empower natural abilities, thereby granting anyone they bond with superhuman abilities. They also have the ability to alter personalities by amplifying emotional traits and tapping into their host's dark desires. Symbiote Spider-Man feeds on adrenaline, usually released into the bloodstream during the fight or flight response. While connected to the host, it will raise their dopamine levels. They have the ability to sense the thoughts and emotions of any sentient creature. They are generalists, reproducing asexually and generally produce only one offspring in a lifetime, and it's common for the parent and the offspring to hate each other. Symbiote Spider-Man's goal is to exist and survive. All they have is their host. All they are is the being they have currently joined to, hoping to forge through this cold and unforgiving cosmos for as long as they are allowed. The bond between them and their host is sacred. They give their lives, their context, their existence meaning. They give them a personality, a voice. All they have is the host to tell them what they are until they are cast away to find another. Symbiote Spider-Man's powers will change depending on who they are attached to, but it will give them enhanced strength, speed, and aid a host healing process. Because this one was particularly bonded with Spider-Man, it will also give any new host spider-like powers, including the ability to cling to surfaces and produce organic webbing. It can also absorb the force of bullets before they reach their host and can form solid appendages from their bodies in the form of spikes, talons, and blades. Symbiote Spider-Man is what happened when Spider-Man activated a symbiote to form a bond with their host, through which a single entity was created. All they have is the host to tell them who they are, until they are cast away to find another. This is represented in Marvel Snap as once per game, you can activate the symbiote to bond with another to make a new, single entity. So what this does in Marvel Snap is this is a 4-cost, 6-power character with the description of the new activate keyword, which is you have to press and hold the card one turn after it is already shown on board. And once you do that, it'll merge with the lowest cost card in its lane and then copy it as though it were just revealed. This, in my opinion, is a 3-star card, and I'm going to go over some of the reasons behind this. So let's look at Symbiote Spider-Man real quick, and we'll go over some of the things behind him. So this is the Spider-Man who can do all the stuff a spider can. So if you look at Symbiote Spider-Man, the way that he's basically raised is he's basically a 4/6. which is basically Nomura on most days. Now, to say that he's just Nomura on most days is really underestimating how good he is. He has the ability to have a lot of things be active, since he basically works almost like a second Odin, as he will reactivate the cards that have activate. But beyond that, he also will work on stuff like Negasonic Teenage Warrior, which is normally a static one-charge ability. So if you play Negasonic and get your opponent to play into that lane, it'll blow up that card, and then you can use the Symbiote Spider-Man to recharge the Negasonic Teenage Warrior. It'll still be the Symbiote Spider-Man, because that's the thing. If you bounce this back or do anything with this card, it becomes the card that it absorbed. It is now, for example, if it takes Negasonic Teenage Warrior, it's a Negasonic Teenage Warrior. It's great with stuff that has on-reveal abilities, like the fact that Cassandra Nova getting twice is basically almost a game killer. Now, the thing that you have to remember is it will not work on ongoing cards, since ongoing cards always are doing what they're doing anyway, so there's really no point in putting it into an ongoing card. And it will not work on stuff like Wong, since it itself is not an on-reveal ability. Now, if you take something that is reveal, the trigger will happen twice, but it will not absorb two things on the Wong, because it itself is not an on-reveal or an ongoing or a static card. It is its own unique flavor. One of the things that you got to be watching out for, and this is one of the things that brings it down, is because of where it's located, for all intents and purposes, it's basically the equivalent of having a 5-drop on the board. The earliest turn that you're going to make this go off is your 5. Because you have to play it down on the 4 and trigger it on the 5, which means it has a very slight window of when it's activatable. Because you can only hit it on either the 5 or the 6 unless you play a limbo or get some shenanigans that pull it out sooner. There is a wickedly good combo that I've been looking into where basically you can play the Sandman on 5, and then if you already had the Symbiote Spider-Man down on 4. So basically you play the Symbiote Spider-Man down on 4 on its own lane. You play the Sandman on top of it. And then next turn you activate the Symbiote Spider-Man, which then will trigger off the Sandman again. And you're not losing any power off of this. That's one of the things that you have to remember about this card. It's a merge the same way that the Hulkbuster armor is, where it'll actually merge with it, so you keep all the power there. One of the things that's been talked about a little bit has been doing a Galactus move, where basically you play down the Symbiote Spider-Man, or then you play down the Galactus, and then you activate the Symbiote Spider-Man to do the Galactus again. Make sure that you play down the Galactus first, and then activate the Symbiote Spider-Man, and don't activate the Symbiote Spider-Man and then play the Galactus. Activate kind of has this weird triggering effect of how it works like that. But by doing so, you're basically giving yourself a 11 power card that they have to fight off against. The one problem that I'm having with it right now is the whole idea of the fact that Activate doesn't have a big wheelhouse right now. One of the cards that was supposed to have Activate, or it's going to have Activate, is going to have Black Swan. And because of the fact that Second Dinner hasn't brought out any other Activate cards, it's kind of a one-trick pony right now. Not that that's the end of the world, but I kind of don't like what they did with Activate altogether. I think it would have been fine to activate the turn it came out, maybe lose a power or something like that, or do something else if you do it on the turn it comes out, and that was it if you do it on turn later. But the fact is that they had a keyword come out, a brand new keyword that had never been seen before, and they basically didn't really showcase it. Now, that's not the card's problem, but because this is a new keyword, I'm not even sure if this is where the keyword's going to stay forever. They might change something on this keyword in the future. It probably won't, but I'm kind of curious about what's going on, because I think it's kind of limiting for a keyword in general, since you can't play it, you can't put it on any sixes, I should say. And basically any fives only have one turn to use that activate ability. All in all, it's a generally good card. I'm not saying there's anything bad with the card. One of the things you have to watch out for, and this is something that you can use against Symbiote Spider-Man if you're getting tired of seeing him, is because of how it works, it'll take the lowest power card in the lane and reactivate it. So if you use Debris and you somehow kick over a rock into their location, and the Symbiote Spider-Man's in a lane with the rock, it'll pick the rock. It's not the last card that's played, it's not the next card that's played, it's the lowest cost card in that lane. So do watch out if you happen to get a squirrel in your lane, or a rock in your lane, or a raptor in your lane, and you want to put Symbiote Spider-Man into it. You might be upset when that happens to you. Anyways, I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, remember, play for fun.